Welcome everybody to our BNI Talks webinar. My name is Steve Tenuzzo. I am your host, and today I've got Joshua Iverson, and we are talking about your marketing budget and creating one. Many of you maybe never have done this before. Some of you might have. You throw it right into the chat. Let me know if you're currently working with a marketing budget, or if this is something you want to learn more about. Just out of curiosity, because I think that yeah. We've got a lot of no's and not yet's coming in so far. All right, that's great. So I think this is a really amazing opportunity to learn something new and to really focus on our 23 budget. You know, next year is coming up very quickly. So let's get started right now. But first, Josh, why don't you just introduce yourself and then we'll jump right into this.
Sure. Yeah, great to meet everyone. I am Josh Iverson. I'm in Harvard, Massachusetts, and I am a member of BNI, Business Referrals Unlimited in Westford, Mass, and been in New England since 2001. And I've got a couple other slides later on in the presentation that'll share a little bit more about me and the business, but there's a lot of information and I wanted to get right into it and let everyone know the slides will be available. And I know, Steve, you always do a great job of making the recording available on YouTube as well.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
With that, I'll get started. I throw this slide up, not because I know everyone can read all these little numbers, but it'll be in here next time. This is really marketing budgets by industry. And the first thing I want to emphasize is that different industries have different marketing budgets. And your marketing budget really includes probably much more than you think it does. You're probably already spending some money on your marketing budget right now. You don't even know it's part of your marketing budget. On the, people recognize that consumer packaged goods spend a lot of money and energy down at the bottom doesn't spend a lot of money. Here's the agenda. We'll talk about this is a money focused presentation. There's a lot of strategy involved in doing a marketing budget, but really you can find a lot of that information. There's multiple 7 C's of marketing and 15 M's of marketing and 4 Q's of marketing. There's a lot of people out there talking about marketing strategy for creating that budget, but not a lot on the actual amount you should spend, especially when you're taking out of your pocket if you're a small business owner. So we're going to talk about how to determine that amount and then prioritize in your digital marketing spend. Because I'm a digital marketing person, I'm going to emphasize a little bit more on the digital marketing spend. I do come from print. I have done TV, I've done everything, but because my focus is a bit more on digital, I'll focus on that. And then the big question, how to track marketing success, a little bit on ROI, a very simple equation that you'll all be able to do to figure out how to make sure the amount you're spending on marketing is panning out. If we get to number 4, then we'll look at in each stage of your business. If you're in a new business or a startup, if you're going to be growing, if you're established and maybe your biggest concern is hiring people to deal with the amount of work you have. And then lastly, the exit plan. If you do plan on eventually selling your business and preserving wealth for you and your family as you retire and decide not to work anymore, then it's important to think about what does your marketing and digital marketing budget have to do with that. So with that, we'll get into some more numbers here. Well, I do want to say there's some source material. All these little links are live links, small business, BBB, HubSpot. Even though HubSpot's a vendor, they're trying to sell you stuff. So I always take their information with a grain of salt, but they do a great job. And then of course me. So that's me. I am going to throw in my own opinions and information. And why will I do that? Well, I've got a little bit of credentials. I don't want to go overboard. My academic education and my business education, and you can come back and look at that later on. If you do Google me, one of the things you'll probably say is, why do I want to listen to this guy? He was one of Facebook's earliest ad sales guys and he decided not to join the company. Well, big mistake, but I didn't know it back then, and don't hold me too accountable. But this article was way back in 2003. Now my kids don't think this is nearly as cool as TikTok, but it was one of those things. When they were based here in Boston, I didn't make the move to California. So marketing budgets. Well, let's make some definitions out there just to frame it in our minds. What's a marketing budget, right? So I'm going to say marketing budget is is the amount of money you invest in all aspects of sales, marketing, and branding. So sales, marketing, and branding is your marketing budget. Your digital marketing budget is the amount of money you invest on your website, which should be an asset. It should be something that increases the value of your business. Online marketing and online advertising. And then advertising is really promotion. That's the amount of money you invest on advertising and marketing promotion, both traditional and digital, because anything you spend on your advertising budget should really directly drive you sales and leads. So we'll talk about those as it applies to those budgets. Think about all the things that might be in your marketing budget. And this might be an exercise for some of you to just kind of make a list of a couple things. You know, write down a couple things that maybe you didn't think about being in your marketing budget, because it includes salaries. You know, if you have in-house people, if you use freelancers, contractors, you need someone to help you write your strategy statement. Thinking about everything that somebody reads on your business. Videos, tools and software. If you're using a Gmail at gmail.com, that's one thing. But if you're using a at mybusiness.com through Gmail, you're paying Gmail. Of course, we think of the advertising and sponsorships. That's easily part of the marketing budget. Public relations, all those different things. Even your BNI membership or your membership in the Better Business Bureau, trade organizations, conferences, all of that should be considered part of your marketing budget. Well, how much should I spend? So, for small businesses doing 500,000 to 5 million in sales with a minimum 12% EBITDA, which is essentially your profit margin. The data shows that 7.86% of revenue should be spent on marketing. For B2B businesses, it ends up being 2 to 5%. B2C businesses, a little more, 5 to 10%. This is all before COVID. This data came out before COVID. There's a lot that happens after COVID. If you're interested in booking me or getting in touch with me to talk more about how this should change or shouldn't change after COVID, go ahead and grab my QR code there and connect with me at some point, and we can have that conversation, either with me or a member of my team that are in cities across the country. I actually think that percentage doesn't need to change much. But I think how that's allocated changes a lot after COVID, from what I've seen. Advertising budget breakdowns. Now, advertising budget, this is the amount spent on what we think of as marketing. Radio ads, print ads, Google ads, all of that. Furniture stores, 4.44%. Down at the bottom, death care services, 1.83%. I know a guy who runs websites for funeral homes. He says that they don't spend a lot of money. So this kind of shows what's out there. You might fall somewhere in between. It's just, it's good to have comparisons. Canada, now this is really your digital marketing spend, has really great data. So this is for less than $1 million in annual sales, between 2 million and 10 million, and then 10 million or more. Now, for the sake of this call, I'm guessing, should have done a poll on this, Steve, but quite a few of us we're solopreneurs, we're consultants, we're coaches, we're just getting started. If you're looking at just replacing your revenue, I've got a slide on that for what you would make it a full-time job. But if you're looking at really getting over that $500,000 mark, into the $2 million mark, this might be more applicable. Now, what I will say is that website cost is probably too high. They're spending probably too much on their website. There's a reason for it, and I might lose some of my friends on this call when I explain the reason for it, but it's just a good number. 33,000 if you're under 2 million in sales, all the way up to 234,000 total. And on most of them, the website is more expensive than online marketing. So if the website includes, SEO, for example, and content, if it includes a lot of video, maybe you're going to spend this much. But the online marketing, they could probably spend a lot more and ultimately get more customers. And that's because of this SEO versus content thing. And we'll address this a little bit more, but what's happened with SEO is it's really been disrupted by Google My Business. Google My Business has disrupted traditional SEO as we know it. And this isn't new, you've probably heard this. And your Google My Business page gets more traffic than your website does. The problem with this is that traditional SEO is a very profitable product for agencies, especially those working in small businesses and selling to small businesses. It's very profitable, so it's very hard to leave SEO behind. been pitched a lot, and quite frankly, it's been a struggle to get more people to embrace it. But I encourage you, whether you're an SEO person or whether you're a small business, I think move beyond SEO, get into content, invest in blogs, invest in your video. Page ranking is not a lead. You do not get more customers by having a higher page ranking necessarily. I'm not saying it doesn't affect, and it's not good for your business because the website is an asset. But when you stop paying those SEO fees, chances are your website traffic goes down. So you're just renting it. And what I'm saying is take that money and spend it somewhere else. Don't prioritize SEO.
Yeah, Josh, I think this is you're the second person that we've had in not a very long time that talks about this, that SEO is important in its way, but at least have a baseline SEO, framework on your website, and then really look at Google and all the other inbound stuff that you can get.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, big companies, absolutely. If you're HubSpot, if you're selling a product online, you need SEO. But for a small business, Google's the one that's disrupted this. It's not me, it's just recognizing it. But
yeah, it's a shift.
Content stays on your content stays on your site forever, and your site becomes a valuable asset forever. So thanks, Steve. So how much should you spend? These are just some numbers. Again, assuming this 500 to 10 million in revenue. It actually, in some of the data I found it was going to 5 million, and other of the data it goes up to 10 million with it at 12% minimum profit margin. Your total marketing budget might be 70 to 140K a year, and this is off of 500K. So if you're 500K and above, these numbers should hold true. Your digital marketing budget, 35K to 70K, and advertising, 35K to 70K. Here's the thing, is your goal to ultimately make more money or less money? Because it's hard when you're taking money out of your pocket for marketing. So we do know, and I think most of you know, that small business advertising and marketing cost is tax deductible. If you're running a cash business and just trying to put money into your pocket, you can claim that on your taxes and talk to your accountant about exactly how to do that. But for the most part, it's considered part of cost of goods sold. So anything you're spending should get back to your business. If you think about the numbers, if your annual revenue is 500K, you're thinking, I'm going to spend 10% of that on marketing, that's 50K a year. 50K is a lot of money for small businesses to think about spending. If you think about your owner's draw, this is another way that I've kind of thought about it. And if you're an owner and you take that draw out, let's say you're taking 200K a year, that's a healthy sum. You got to own a couple franchises before you can usually take 200K a year. So it's a healthy sum. Let's say 25% of that is 50K a year. What I would say is if you intend on this business actually getting from 500 to 2 million, I have a friend who just started he started being a gutter cleaner in 2018, was doing just some print ads and lawn signs. And then he started doing digital with me. This year he'll do 1.2 million and he will make $600,000. And he really shifted that whole thing from focusing more on his digital marketing as an ongoing program. He didn't give up on other things, but he really started to think about it less as a gig opportunity for him to make some money and more as building a real business. So he is getting to the point now, he's still not spending 10%, but he's close. And he's really thinking about it as making more money. So that's really the idea, is you want to think about it as making more money. So I do get this question, so I'll throw this out there. What's the minimum I can spend? Everyone's like, well, that's great. I don't have $50,000. So what's the minimum? Might be a coach, you might be a consultant. I think it's really hard to do less than 300 a month or 3K a year. This is assuming you do all the work, all the strategize, all the writing, the design. You're managing all these tools that you maybe are free, or maybe you've somebody's given you a free trial, and a lot of them are free when you're small in these platforms. You then go into your dashboard, you're tracking leads in your customer relationship management system or your CRM. You've got company emails, which is at josh.com versus at gmail.com. You got your calendar tools, a website, not only hosting, but management, meaning you don't say, don't go to my website, it's not updated. You say, go to my website, it's got everything you need. And then your business cards and your promotional material, that's probably the minimum you can do. And that's probably the number that you just got to be comfortable that that $3,000 a year is going to net you $10,000 a year to get started, or whatever that number is for you. So what drives the budget? Well, it's your audience, your target market, who you are selling to, and who buys from you. This is all the same thing. It really comes down to who needs to, you know, who do you need to get your product in front of, or your programs in front of? If you're using BNI, for example, and your website is not, you know, up to snuff, when you're giving your commercial and you're saying, you know, this is my 60-second commercial, is that better than just knowing that those BNI folks are your moving sales team, where you can actually say, go to my website, it's got everything you need to give me a good referral? It basically does it train them well enough? I've been a salesperson that's not been well trained for a product. Very hard to sell a product that you don't have all the tools and everything. So if your real focus is referrals, make sure all of your marketing supports getting more referrals. Make it easy for them to repost your social, make it easy for them to leave you reviews, make it easy for them to share everything that they need to do to improve your business. So BNI is your target market, that's great. They say, I'm going to search Al's painting. And if I search Al's painting for my location and I'm close to Al and I don't find him online, that's a challenge. So think about prioritizing. If people know you and they can't find you, that's number one. Number two, prospective customers searching for your particular goods and services. Maybe you're a dentist, maybe you sell automobiles. Can they find you? Do you show up even on a search when I say plumber near me? And then will they choose you over your competitors? Will they choose you, or will they see that you have 1 star and think, I'm not going to go to this business even if I got a referral from Steve? And then how do you find new customers? And a lot of the advertising budget that we're pitched is new customers, new customers, new customers. I kind of mentioned this. If you're getting all your business from contractors, you should target contractors. If you're getting all your business from BNI refers, you should target your BNI team. There's a group called Burrell and Associates, and I pinged Gordon Burrell on LinkedIn to kind of get this information from him. They do one of the most amazing surveys to get this type of data. Corey's on the right. Corey's really funny and smart, and Gordon is on the left, and Gordon is the boss. So I'm going to quote Gordon. The latest survey and most surveys we've done indicate that advertisers average 5% of gross revenues in spending. And this is on advertising. Roughly 60% of it goes to digital forms of media. And advertisers typically buy 5 different types of media in any given year. That could include print, broadcast, search marketing, direct mail, radio, etc. You can learn more about Burrell and Associates on these links. And again, this will be available. There's so many channels. How do we choose when there's so many different channels? Well, I'm going to focus on these on this side, because I've put it in order to make it a little more easy to digest, because it is a lot of info. So we've got our conversion, which is kind of the point of purchase, right? Somebody goes to your website, or you go to their business. How do you actually make that transaction happen? More and more businesses are using their website to do that. The other things are the reputation, findability, and the advocacy. So past customers, everyone always says a past customer is my best customer. I just get more and more referrals. Well, that's great. Let's make sure we're supporting them with your advocacy. And of course, awareness on the far left. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on digital because I'm going to just say, how has marketing and sales changed? How do we actually sell our products these days? And whether you're, in real estate, whether you're an attorney, I can't tell you how many dentists and orthopedic surgeons and other people in the medical field I've talked to that never thought they were going to have to be in charge of marketing when they went to med school. But here they are. So marketing has changed because everyone Googles it. So in 2021, 81% of consumers said they read Google reviews, which is a significant increase over 2020, when just 63% of consumers read the site's reviews. nearly all millennials, and that is the largest living generation. Millennials passed boomers in 2021. All millennials read reviews, 99.9% read reviews when shopping online, and 63% of millennials read reviews when shopping in physical store locations. I've been into bookstores and they say, you know, please don't buy our books on Amazon, right? They know people are in that bookstore looking to see if they can get it for less on Amazon. There's a link on the bottom of this that'll give you the details on that. I'm not going to argue. I've seen it. I know that referrals are the best leads. 84% of people in the US trust recommendations from people they know, and 82% of small businesses claim referrals as their main source of new business. But there is a scenario when traditional ads or word of mouth won't work. And this goes for all, you know, certainly print ads and traditional ads like that, but even some forms of digital advertising. Because if you have bad reviews and somebody clicks on an ad or reads a newspaper, I mean, even if a doctor refers you to a dermatologist and you then go to that dermatologist and there's 4 others right next to them, and there's one of them with a 4.9 rating and 706 reviews, that means their office staff is going to be nicer. It means they've got things together in the office. It means it's nicer people to deal with. You're probably not going to go to even the dermatologist your doctor recommended. That's just the reality we're in now. So I think I like to talk about owning versus renting. If you Google My Business as a rental property, like Facebook, Yelp, LinkedIn, online listings, your website, your content, your customer database, meaning hopefully you've got it in a CRM or at least a spreadsheet, is a true asset that will increase in value as long as you keep investing in it. You don't have to invest a lot, just a little bit. And a small business does need an amazing restaurant, just like a website needs a menu. So if you've got a bad website and you're like, that's all right, I don't need a good website, I have all these other things. I mean, that's kind of like a restaurant saying, we just cook amazing food. Well, what do I order? Well, I don't know. I mean, you want the chicken, you want the beef, you want the fish. You know, a menu really helps you, and it helps you a website really helps you because it helps you as an entrepreneur actually frame what your offering is. And then again, it helps people to know what you're going to be able to offer to their business. I would say own and control your URL, that at imediaaudiences.com. You want to keep that in your wheelhouse. Now, WordPress is, in my opinion, it's owned. Other technologies are owned because they're free and you just host them somewhere. You get to put them anywhere you want. You're basically paying somebody to manage that for you. Versus Wix or Squarespace, which are super popular, and I know they look really good, but ultimately you're just renting those, because if Wix or Squarespace goes away, that becomes a less valuable product when you go to sell it. It's just, you're always going to have to pay Wix. You're always going to have to pay Squarespace. So that's just renting. It's technical, it's hosting, but you're renting. And then your content will help with selling your audiences. It will build your site's SEO in a way that Google likes. And if you invest in content, you can use it for brochures, you can use it for social media, you can use it for your website, everything. Okay, so here's the big challenge, Steve. This is where a lot of people wonder, why do I even need marketing and advertising? And this is how to track success. And there's this quote by John Wanamaker that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. That used to be true. It's not really true anymore. Not even with print. There are ways to measure everything. So that's what we're going to get into.
All right.
So one more from Burrell and Associates. IRS data shows that smaller businesses average 2% of gross revenues for advertising expenditures. That's because a huge number of businesses, possibly half, spend almost nothing or nothing at all on advertising. Now, this is the advertising spend, not just marketing. So that's a huge number of businesses that spend nothing, but the ROI, it's easier to track for marketing, or excuse me, for advertising than for marketing services and products. I don't know how to track the ROI for marketing services and products. It's kind of like asking, well, what's the ROI for using email? Or what's the ROI for using your mobile phone? They're kind of business assets. Can you do business without them? Maybe, right? What is your ROI for a phone or even an office building? Not many people need office buildings anymore, but for some businesses, office buildings really help. So marketing services and products, sometimes it's just, you've got to spend it because it's an asset that will improve the value of your business. in the long run, and it'll help you sell. But then the promotional advertising, this is truly a return on your investment. So how much in revenue and sales do you make from paid ads? That's kind of a big question here. If you've got, you think about these two marks, and you can go back and look at these because the print's very small. You've got the stuff on the conversion side, which is your website, online booking. You can even have apps these days. My local insurance company has a great little app. And then on the other side, you've really got your awareness and sometimes your findability with your paid search and paid per click and paid social. You really should, when you do advertising, you should get a report like this from whoever you're using that actually lists all of the clients, all the information for those clients, their phone numbers, the message that they may be left if it's through your website, if it's coming from an ad that's driving a phone number. You should be able to get a list like this. Now, these lists go out to small businesses across the country, and they just stay in the email and nobody looks at them. But they are available, they are produced, and you can get those lists. And if your marketing agency says, oh, well, we do it on a average, we drive so many leads, we just make an average and we just tell you, 10 leads. You should really ask for the numbers, because it is possible to get you a spreadsheet with actual leads. And then you can go back at it and say, did this person actually buy my product? Did this person become a client? A lot harder in the restaurant business than it is in the insurance business. So you may measure things in other ways for restaurants, and you can ping me for more ideas on that. This is the easy math though, Steve. I was not I didn't love math. And now I find that I use math way more than I use, my English degree. So when you think about this, the total value from leads over the total cost is really your ROI. So let's say you got a $5,000 deal on a $1,250 spend. Your ROI is 4 times. So when they say, what's your ROI? Really know what it is. So if you know what it is, why would you not spend $1,250 a month if you know you're going to net $3,750? You do it all day long. So once you figure that out, it's easy to get your marketing budget where you want it to be and get your sales where you want them to be. Advertising budget can increase if you know your ROI. Marketing budget, sometimes it requires a little more budgeting and justification on content and what the company needs. So here's an exercise. If you think about what is your average deal or sale, just write this down somewhere. Think about what's your average revenue per sale. If you're selling, CBD creams or anything, what's your average purchase price? Is it $50 per purchase? Is it $100? You can kind of think about your revenue. If you've got major cost involved in that, maybe you think about your net earnings. What is that number, right? And then what you can think about is, if you spend $1,000 on paid ads, how many sales do you need, right? It's pretty easy. If it's, 10,000 is your sale price, then you need less than 1 per month, right, to justify that $1,000 spend. If it's $2.50, you're gonna need a lot of sales, right? If you're running a burrito stand, you're gonna need a lot of sales to justify that $1,000. And then you might want to think about, well, how much revenue do you need to make? And that's when you can actually say how much you need to spend. Too much math, Steve? What do you think? Is this
your numbers are nice and round, so I appreciate that. But no, I think this is making a lot of sense to me. And of course, for those of us who really haven't put a lot of investment into our businesses yet and plan to do it for next year, I think that the numbers will naturally grow from here, as long as we're getting our name out there and doing it in a way that is going to bring business to you.
Yeah, that's really the concept here. So here's the thing: there is work involved. You really have to do the work. You need to track actual names, numbers, emails in a spreadsheet at least. If you can attribute revenue back to those names, that's better. And then you can track in customer databases in a CRM. BNI does a great job of that, right? Now, I don't know if we have enough time to get into the rest of this.
You can go another 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll go through this fast, and folks can hang on, or I can do another, webinar at some point in the future, because at different stages, your budget's going to be slightly a different marketing mix. If you're a new business startup, if you're in the growth phase, that means you're really focused on improving sales. If you're an established business, again, it's a headache. Everything's a headache. Every new deal is you need people. You've got other things going on. And then your exit plan. So I'm going to push this out from Burrell and Associates. If you wish to aggressively grow your business, earmark 10% or more of anticipated gross revenue. So he's talking anticipated for the coming year. If you want to maintain or slightly grow, spend between 5 and 9%. So just maintain or slightly grow. And if you want to be average, spend 4 to 5%, and your business will maintain but not grow. So this is what their data shows. I don't really want to, put my business to it. We spend much more than 10% to drive sales and marketing. So this is, easy. So startups, again, you're asking those same questions. As a startup, you really need new customers, right? Can my customers find me? Well, they may not even be looking for you. They don't know you yet. So you've got to make sure they know you. Can they find your product? Probably not, because you're not number one in your category yet, or, it may be challenging. Will they choose you over your competitors? Do you have any reviews yet? And you might need to spend some more on paid advertising. If you're in the growth phase, it does go down to sales a bit more, and you will need to just focus a bit more on sales. And again, thinking about your customers and marketing to those people who are going to give you business. So don't just market to consumers if you're a B2B business. If you're established, can your customers find me? Well, they better be able to find you. If you're considering yourself established, they should find you. Will they choose you over your competitors, and will they find your services? I mean, there are lots of startups that have surpassed businesses that are small businesses. I see it in landscaping every year. I see it in construction. I see it in electricians and plumbers. They get comfortable, and then a new person will just come in and replace them. And that's why that plumber can't hire more people, because it's so easy for that new plumber to figure out digital and go up and get all that business. So I've seen this. And then lastly, on the exit plan, is my digital presence impressive? You kind of don't want to sell your business and say, yeah, my website's terrible, but look, I've done all this. You want to say, look, my website's awesome. It drives revenue. It drives new customers. My website is an asset. You're going to pay more for my business because my website looks great. It drives leads. Your social media accounts can easily be taken over by the next owner, and those social media accounts will then continue to drive and be important for the business. Exit plan tips. There's a lot of information here that we could get into the details, but a lot of the subscription recurring revenue, minimal or low churn, and upfront payments, a lot of that happens through a website portal. So I think you'll find that more and more businesses are going to want to take payments through website. They're going to want to take subscriptions through websites and those other tactics. So certainly thinking about that increases the value of your business significantly. Also, when you go to sell your business, a $20 million business doing $1 million in profits is going to generally sell for a lot more than a $2 million business with $1 million in profits. So to grow your business, it makes sense to spend a little bit of more money on that. I have this chart in here. Folks can go back and really look at my thoughts on it. These are the digital marketing channels that are out there, and maybe how it affects these categories. I have some packages in here if folks just want to get an idea of what a business should pay about them. I mentioned I'd share a little bit about me, and I will do that quickly, and then we'll get into the questions. Steve, I mentioned I'm in BNI. I love it. It's an amazing group. I serve as the secretary treasurer. I practice what I preach. I like to have good Google reviews. I like to have an A+ rating on the Better Business Association. I have 3 groups within our business. A perfect referral for iMedia sales team is an entrepreneurial minded self-starter with a passion for helping business owners. and they're interested in sales and digital marketing, and they're tired of a traditional job and they still want to make 6 figures plus a year. We have our main brand in the middle, iMedia Audiences, and that's a business owner who wants to know their digital media assets and are in order, and their digital marketing strategy is in order and producing leads and ROI. And then Reptide Media, which is a business owner who's just knows how valuable their time is. They just can't get to everything, so they need a virtual assistant. They need a virtual assistant to focus on Google My Business reviews, and their digital marketing efforts. I do want to focus on my values. I was certainly inspired by BNI. As you know, there's a registered trademark on Giver's Gain, but I still think for my values, I want to be a giver. In our company, anyone that joins, they need to be a giver. They need to aim for happy. They need to learn it, own it, and then share it. We learn something every day. We want to share that with everyone around us. And then we want to make value and then money. So values are important to us with iMedia Audiences. So with that, Steve, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone's time, and happy to open it up for questions.
All right. Well, let's ask a few questions. Anyone that wants to type a question into the Q&A box, we will get to it. Someone I know, Jenny Butts, is asking, she says, I love the percentages suggested for marketing dollars in a budget. What guidelines would you give for budgeting time on marketing efforts?
Ooh, good question. Well, I think you should look at your owner's draw, in all honesty, and you should think about how much you need to pay yourself to make yourself happy and whole, and still leave enough money to invest in your business and grow it. So maybe look at your owner's draw and use that comparison. So like if you're paying yourself $1,000 a month and you're working 40 hours a week, pretty small number, right? Because that's a challenge, but your time is so much more valuable than probably what you're paying yourself. So think about what you would pay somebody to do all the things you do. And I mean, at least $100 an hour, right? I think, like, I don't think we're in this business. I don't think any of us are in business to make less than, $100 an hour or whatever we think we're worth. So that's the minimum I do. To hire a really great copywriter, digital strategist, you're going to be paying at least $100 an hour. You might be able to find somebody on Fiverr for less.
Boo, Fiverr, boo. Okay, hire a copywriter. Anyway, all right. So Dana asks, owning your own URL or CRM question. Her broker owns their website and CRM. Do you suggest investing in her own? She's a real estate agent, and her brand is of the broker's brand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, real estate's really cool. I mean, you get a lot of benefits because you're a broker agent. And actually, the iMedia sales team model is trying to apply the same model in real estate to a digital marketing associate. So I really follow the real estate for that same reason. I encourage all my team members to absolutely have their own Google My Business page. They may consider having their own website, because you might be with Coldwell Banker today and Remax tomorrow, and you still want to have your brand because you've got that personal brand. And if someday you grow it and do something else, then absolutely. If you are using their systems, use their systems. Make sure you can export it, because really it's the data, not the CRM. You can export that data. There's a lot of free CRMs. HubSpot is free. Zoho is free. Our platform has a free one that just allows you to manage customers and then email them and communicate with them. So there's a lot of free CRMs out there. Make sure you can get that data. And then, yeah, I think it's worth investing in your website. There's a lot of real estate digital marketing firms. That's all they do is market to realtors. They would, of course, say the same thing. Some real estate companies do a better job for their agents and brokers than others. And so without knowing exactly who yours are, I don't know how much you're getting for what you're investing with that company. But yeah, I would say for sure, control the data, be able to download it, and really consider getting your own website with amazing headshots and great content.
All right. Dennis Charles, we know him too. Says, Josh, really useful information. Do you see offline marketing such as paid ads and direct mail being something we should invest in today?
Yeah, I mean, I have a client again that said, I'm going to stop all my paid ads and I'm going to just do digital marketing. He did that for a little while. He was in a startup phase, but now that he's getting into that 5 and 10%, I actually said, direct mail or direct mail local flyers, depending on how good they are really good options. You can track sales on them because you can put a phone number in there. And if you call that phone number, like we have a tracking phone number that people use in our digital ads, they can take a similar phone number, put it in their print ads. And when you call that phone number, it rings through to your cell phone, but you get to see it in the back end. You get to see those phone numbers coming in and you know it came from the print ad or the direct mail ad. The problem is those can be very expensive. So what I'd say is, level up on people finding you and your business first, and then start to expand. I mean, even digital TV is becoming affordable for a lot of businesses and highly targetable.
All right. Lisa asks, how long is too long to gauge if your social media ads are producing customers?
So how long is too long to let it ride and not see an ROI? I think that's the question, right? So you got to see those results quickly, right? So what you're let's say investing in social media, are you posting 20 times a month? Are you having everyone in your family, if you're a solopreneur, and everyone in your company go to those social media posts, like them, respond to them, reply to them? That's free. Are you getting all of your crews, if they're in the space, to get photos, fresh photos, and putting them on social media? Do all of that stuff before you start boosting a post. Because if you've got strong activity from just you and your family and your network on your social platforms, it's just not, then boost a post. And then you'll find that it actually works better. And if you've got everyone in your BNI group liking your post, if you've got everyone in your BNI group following your social media page, and then you run the post, then you boost the post, I should say, you really should see results. But, minimum budget, I don't know. We don't take budgets for less than $500 a month, and even that stretching it. You really got to get into the $900,000 a month to see strong effects from social media on the ROI. But you can boost a post and see how that works for you.
Yeah. All right. Next, Carlos, who still owes me a one-to-one about Calendly, says, is there a difference in how marketing is done on mobile devices as opposed to regular channels, i.e. geo-marketing?
Well, maybe not, because everything should be focused on your mobile phone, right? So you notice in the photo was the phone. Your website should look better on the phone than it does in person. So when we design a website, it's always mobile first. When we run a Google campaign, it's always phone first. You're clicking on the number and immediately dialing. We just assume your customers are on their phone. So I say maybe not, because sometimes people will go online to do something on their laptop, but it's more like fill in a long form, fill in a survey, get back some documents. When they're really looking for your business, chances are they're going to be on their phone. So everything needs to be on the mobile phone. It needs to be focused on mobile.
All right. Let's see. Leanne says, how do I help my owner set the budget that is appropriate for our growth mindset? There is some reluctance.
Yeah, that's always the challenge, right? Because we're taking money out of our owners' pockets, and people see marketing that way. I think it's if you can convince them that there's a way to track ROI, that's generally the easiest way to talk to owners. It is certainly there's some investment that needs to happen to just bring you up to speed. Again, if you've got a bad website and you've been around for 30 years and you've got an upstart with a beautiful website and they just started, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to get new customers unless people really know you and know why you're so much better. Because when they're on their phone or they're on their computer, it's just going to be really hard to convince people that, like, why wouldn't you have a better looking website? You've got enough money, you're established. So I think that's the hardest thing, is just there's so much money that existing and established businesses let go by the wayside because they're just not comfortable with investing normal amounts of money in digital.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think someone put a question into the chat. What are the benefits of having an in-house employee marketing versus outsource?
I have a slide on that. I did not go to it because I skipped through it. But if you go down to here, this is very, very small, but I've got my green buckle up at the top. The green is the stuff I think every business needs to do, whether you're Apple or whether you're Joe's gas station. In the middle, it gets gray, and then it gets blue again, and then it gets green, because eventually your business is going to grow to whether you're either going to have an employee, and that's going to be a cost, right? So your HR, your all the costs that are included in an employee, or your digital marketing assistant is going to be part of marketing, and that's going to be cost of goods sold. It's why I did the virtual marketing thing, because if you got somebody already trained on everything you're doing, it's a cost. But when you go to sell your business, and let's say you really need a few employees, because somebody doesn't want to buy your business if all you are contracts with people providing the services. So if you're going away as the business owner, you need to have employees in place to keep the business running for the future owners. And that's where, once you get to the marketing manager, that's an employee. And you can find like a part-time marketing manager and pay them well, and they can be a great investment if you can find them. I have lots of marketing managers who we actually have a virtual assistant so they can have a team, because a marketing manager generally wants to manage people, and they can manage virtual assistants just fine, and they do what they need to for the small business as well.
All right. That looks like that is all of our questions. Any final words before we wrap up, Josh?
No, I just appreciate everyone's time. If you do want to connect with me or a member of the iMedia sales team, you can grab that QR code or just find me on BNI Connect, and we can go from there.